Rigathi bitterness because he has spoken on matters touching on CRBC, a Chinese company, and also alleged that there were also Chinese from some China civil engineering company that were deported from this country. Rigathi has beef to pick with the China Roads and Bridges Corporation, and his bitterness is the high priest of corruption. Correct. He attempted to extort Kenya shillings 300 million from CRBC when he was the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And he tried to extort this money from CRBC, or China Roads and Bridges Corporation, over their alleged transgressions during the Uhuru Kenyatta regime. CRBC, being a state-owned enterprise owned by the government of China, declined his demands and expressed the same concerns to none other than His Excellency the President, and the President stopped Rigathi in his tracks in an attempt to extort money from these Chinese corporations. It is noteworthy CRBC contracts are subjected to all the laws of Kenya and scrutinized by institutions such as the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority. And therefore, what Rigathi has been trying to do is to malign many of these Chinese corporations in an effort to try and extort money from them. We are here to tell all our foreign direct investors into Kenya, you are...
Mimi niseme next week, I want to tell the press, I'll have a press conference, that all Chinese companies have been refused to do business in Kenya, and all the big projects William Ruto has ordered that they be given to CRBC, who are in partnership with him. They are the ones who are doing Talanta Stadium, Bomas of Kenya, Railway City, Rironi Mau Summit Road, Nairobi, JKIA, and SGR, which is launching today. We'll be giving you details on the commissions that have been negotiated by William Ruto with this company called CRBC. And we're asking the People's Republic of China to recall this company back to China because it is a conveyor of corruption in our country. How do you explain that all the big projects for billions have been given to one single Chinese company called CRBC? I'll be calling a press conference mid next week with details of how much money has been allocated to this company of China and the commission they are paying and the projects they are doing for William Ruto in various parts of the country as his commission for giving them these projects. So we are asking the Chinese government, if you truly don't entertain corruption, CRBC is a conveyor of corruption in our country and Kenyans are suffering.
China Road and Bridge Corporation is the international conduit for corrupt proceeds in Kenya under the personal and direct supervision of William Ruto. I must say Kenyans are not safe, our children are not safe, investors are not safe, tourists are not safe, no foreigner is safe. And I must say, foreigners, investors, tourists, your own security starts with you. I ask the members of our development partners and foreign embassies accredited to Kenya to ensure that their staff and citizens are safe within the boundaries of Kenya. On protecting the liberties enshrined in our constitution.
Mtazamaji, the video clip that we have begun with is a video clip of none other than the Kikuyu Member of Parliament and the Majority Leader in Parliament, one Honorable Ichungwah. He was today, together with other broad-based MPs, responding to the press release or the press statement that Rigathi Gachagua made, analyzing the 4 years of President William Ruto that he has been in power since the year 2022. And one key development that one Kimani Ichungwah has highlighted is the issue of Rigathi Gachagua exposing a company called China Bridge Corporation, a company that Gachagua accused of working with William Ruto to win tenders from the government of the Republic of Kenya because, they were winning these tenders because they were giving kickbacks to William Ruto and giving a certain percentage to William Ruto from every tender that they are awarded from the government. And you can hear Kimani Ichungwah trying to say that Rigathi Gachagua, while he was the deputy president, he tried to seek a bribe of 300 million from this company called CRBC, China Bridge Corporation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you something that you all cannot refute. Rigathi Gachagua has hinted about this company several times. And we, even as the media of the Republic of Kenya, have hinted about this company that one Kimani Ichungwah is trying to defend today. This company is the company that has been awarded all the major contracts in the Republic of Kenya, ranging from Talanta Stadium, Rironi Mau Summit, the extension of SGR from Naivasha to Malava. It is the same company that is now working towards the modernizing of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. It is the same company that is working on the construction of the extension of Nairobi Expressway from Nairobi to Thika. It is the same company that is constructing the NSSF building. So let me ask you, how can a single company be awarded over 10 major government tenders worth trillions of money? Let's ask, are there no any other companies that actually put out their bid trying to compete for these tenders to construct these major projects in the Republic of Kenya? They have been there, but these other companies have always been sidelined for the benefit of this China Bridge Corporation company. So the defense that one Kimani Ichungwah is coming up with is one that does not make any logical sense. Another thing, allow me to tell you, the reason why you see Kimani Ichungwah and the rest of MPs, even Akina Junet, today responding to Rigathi Gachagua's press release is because they want to dandia the wave or to jump on the wave of Rigathi Gachagua, because Rigathi Gachagua's press release has become the highlight of the week. It is the one that is sparking conversation in the media of the Republic of Kenya. Yet, for them, they had a broad-based meeting in Naivasha, a retreat for 3 days where they signed a deal between UDA and ODM, lakini hakuna mtu ambaye anawaongelea. So they had to jump on the wave of Rigathi Gachagua so that they can actually even try to attract some attention to their deal. But trying to say that Rigathi Gachagua sijui alitisha pesa ngapi from this company, China Bridge, whatever, we ask, mulikuwa mnangoja Rigathi Gachagua kuje kuanika hii kampuni ndio mkuje kujaribu kumwanika eti ya kwamba Gachagua alijaribu kuitisha nini? Kuitisha ongo kutokea kwa hii kampuni. Let us say the truth as it is. One thing for sure that has been proven by Rigathi Gachagua moving forward is that Rigathi Gachagua's political playbook is a masterclass. He doesn't need to win every fight. He just needs Ruto and his allies to be busy firing back to govern. Reactive politics is exhausting your opponent, not just outsmarting them. Mtazamaji, hivyo ndivyo Rigathi Gachagua amefanya. But allow me to actually diverge into a statement that was made by the Directorate of Criminal Investigation today in response to an expose that Rigathi Gachagua made in regards to the William Ruto administration for the last 4 years. And the DCI had this to say responding to Gachagua's statement. We even accused the government on the cover-up of the death of Raila Amolo Odinga, the late Chief of Defense Forces General Francis Ogola, and the late Member of Parliament of Emurwe Dikir, Joanna Ngeno. Listen to the DCI statement. I mean, do you want our what this state leave even about the MPs, hata easy organization zingine zote independent bodies and institutions have just been turned to become useless institutions that their work is to try and fight the Rigathi Gachagua and fight the narrative and the truth that Rigathi Gachagua has always been telling us. Skiza the DCI. Wanasema, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation has taken note of a litany of baseless and unsubstantiated allegation by the former DP Rigathi Gachagua touching on the DCI. These allegations are ridiculous, ill-intended, and wholly without foundation. Those advancing them should produce credible evidence rather than paid and verified claims calculated to undermine public confidence in law enforcement. The DCI categorically states that it does not sanction, facilitate, conceal, or participate in criminal conduct of any kind, regardless of the identity or status of any person involved. The DCI remains a professional investigative agency mandated by law to investigate serious and complex crimes, gather evidence, and present cases to the relevant prosecutorial, and judicial authorities. Its officers continue to discharge these responsibilities strictly in accordance with the Constitution, relevant laws, and established investigative procedures. The Directorate further notes allegations concerning specific cases of alleged abductions, disappearances, deaths, police shooting, attacks against journalists, and other serious offenses. Where such matters fall within the DCI mandate, they are subject to investigation based on available evidence. No individual is above the law. Neither political affiliation nor public prominence influences the manner in which criminal investigation is conducted. In one of the mentioned cases involving investigations into the murder of Reverend Julius Domiangari of PCA Tabuga Church in Nakuru North Sub-County, which occurred on the night of May 3, 2026, the DCI has made considerable progress with two suspects, Felix Odinga Okumu and Beryl Nafua Atenyo, arrested and arraigned before the Nakuru Law Court. In the case for harm, they are trying to actually vindict themselves. But let me tell you, there is one thing Rigathi Gachagua has capitalized on: keeping this government on defense. Yani, it is not high as Rigathi Gachagua that is on defense to try and verify whatever you are bringing up against me. It is you as the government. You as every institution that is in bed with William Ruto. You are to remain vigilant, trying to protect yourself. But let me ask. They are saying that Rigathi Gachagua is making baseless accusation. Let's ask. Rigathi Gachagua about 3 or 4 days ago went ahead to reveal that 2 police officers linked to Kikuyu police station, one in Derry and the other in Dogoto, were the ones that were involved in the assassination of one late Dr. Victoria Ndunya Mutiso. The DCI wakakuja wakasema eti that is not true. Gachagua revealed even their name. The DCI came with another story trying to implicate some certain Kinuthi and Njoroge somewhere so that it would be said that those that had actually carried out the assassination were Kikuyus. But later, they came to accept the truth and confirm that some certain guy by the name of Elijah Kiplimo was the one that had actually carried out the hit on Victoria. So, how does the DCI expect us to trust them in trying to verify, in trying to contradict what Rigathi Gachagua says, yet they have tried it before and it has backfired on them that they were telling lies. Gachagua revealed that the DCI had arrested the individuals that had actually killed the doctor. But instead of arraigning them in court, they received a call from Murkomen to receive the individuals that were arrested. After they were released, they were given passes to escape to Uganda where they cannot be captured. Tunaelewana? Mtazamaji, When you hear the likes of Akina Kimani Ichungwah wakiyap and making noise trying to implicate Rigathi Gachagua sijui eti alikuwa anaitisha corruption and all that, we ask them, where were they when that was happening? Why didn't they come out and expose that? Until they waited when Rigathi Gachagua exposes a company that had been given over 10 major contracts by the government of Kenya. Ndio sasa wanaona it's fit to come and make baseless accusation against the former deputy president. I like that Rigathi Gachagua has put them where they are supposed to be. Mtazamaji, ni haya kwa sasa. I would love to hear your take in regards to this. Achia maoni kwenye comment section. See you in our next video. This is the Kenyan Daily Report.
Fellow Kenyans, Mr. William Ruto had promised that within 30 days of his presidency, he would establish a quasi-judicial public inquiry to establish the extent of cronyism and state capture in the nation and make recommendations. Unfortunately, over the last 4 years, Mr. William Ruto himself has captured the state. He has focused on centralizing control of independent constitutional commissions, state entities, public sector procurement, and unwarranted sale of strategic national assets. All these measures are aimed at achieving the sole objective of enriching William Ruto at the expense of 55 million Kenyans. It should be noted that William Ruto has achieved the milestone of being certified as a US dollars billionaire in a record 4-year courtesy of looting Kenyan public coffers. Mr. William Ruto's 4 years in office has accomplished a mission of driving Kenyan entrepreneurs out of business. Contractors are out of business. Traders are out of business. William Ruto has captured all businesses and he is in competition with the Kenyans that he leads. He has used his office to flex muscles on traders. Where he has not pushed, his cordial CRBC has come in. Mr. William Ruto has investments in virtually every sector of Kenya's economy, namely banking and finance through Sudi Bank, investment banking through Rock Investment Bank, a CMA license issued in 2026, and is a fund manager of NSSF and PSSF pension funds, insurance through Amaco, capital markets through Sudi platform, hospitality through Weston Hotel and Ritz Carlton in Emara, cement through the various companies that he bought, including Baburi and East African Portland Cement, betting through SportsPesa, Sportbet and Betika, aviation through Kwale Island Development, healthcare through Nairobi West Hospital, telecommunication through East African Device Assembly Limited, oil and energy through Gulf Energy and oil marketing companies, energy gas through Taifa Gas, construction, farming, currency security, he has recently bought Dalu, transport, he has even gone into the matatu in business. He now has over 100 matatus in Nairobi, agriculture, poultry, minerals, gold prospecting in Aboseli, Logorian, Transmara, DRC, including in Darfur. Literally, all business people in Kenya have been driven out of business by William Ruto. Mr. William Ruto has ignored Justice John Mativo's 2017 ruling and the former Chief Justice Maraga 2020 advisory to entitle a legislative framework and implement the 2/3 Jeta rule despite having a parliamentary majority. Patriotic Kenyans, the Kenya Kwanza commitment was to turn the housing challenge into an economic opportunity. They promised to build 250,000 houses every year. This was the promise. However, 4 years later, Mr. Ruto has fashioned and turned this into a conduit to steal public land and be the sole supplier of construction inputs, cement, steel, tiles, nails, and MDF panels that manufactures factories he has bought and acquired. The Affordable Housing Fund has collected over $1 billion since its inception. The State Department of Housing and Urban Development has conveniently ensured a low absorption rate of roughly 25% due to the staggered nature of construction phases and investments of proceeds in treasury bills, bonds through Sudi Bank. Sudi Bank is today classified as Tier 2 medium-sized bank. It has graduated from Tier 3 status after achieving a market share of over 1% driven by deposits mobilized from government of Kenya State Corporations, Social Health Authority, Nairobi City County Government, and the Affordable Housing Fund levies. Sudi Bank is worth 95 billion in asset value, Kenya shillings 74 billion in customer deposit, and a reported 1.7 billion net profit in the year ending 2025. Compare this sudden change in fortunes with the 2022 financial year results. This bank had 42 billion Kenya shillings in assets, 30 billion in customer deposit, and a reported loss in the financial year ending 2022. Since William Ruto bought it, you can see the transformation. This housing scheme is nothing but a personal business that guarantees the exclusive single source offtake of steel, MDF panels, nails, iron sheets, tiles, cement by factories owned by William Ruto and his allies. The levy proceeds are the reason why Sudi Bank deposits have increased tenfold for the 4 years. If it were a genuine program, why is it being forced down citizens' throat? There was no promise to raise the payslip of the Kenyan worker in the name of a punitive housing levy. Private businesses must be left to do their work as the government does its work. It's important that the workers of Kenya know that monies deducted from their payslip is invested in Sudi Bank owned by William Ruto, who is collecting the profit. In my view, and as a